welcome to 12th meeting of this year, right? Qatar IIRSM branch. Myself, Tibu Ravi Kumar, I'm chair of Qatar IIRSM branch. This webinar is a very special one because we will be delivering it online and face-to-face section as we have few members has been here for face-to-face section. So welcome you all once again. Yeah. So today's agenda, we are going to start the section now. Today's presentation will be done by Mr. Mohammed Aswad, a good friend. We know him like for 7 years, 8 years. He'll be delivering a section on food safety. This is going to hazard and contamination. It will be taking around 30-35 minutes. After we'll be having a 10 minutes question and answer section. Then we will be moving on with branch status update, and we will be winding up the section by 8 p.m. So once again, I'd like to welcome you all, members and visitors, especially those who's attending first time. Right? And I'd like to thank our sponsor, Vibrant, who is helping us to deliver the session face to face. Right? So this is our committee members, and then myself, Tibu Ravi Kumar. I believe we have slight delay of sharing the presentation. I think around 10-second delay is there on sharing my presentation to the viewers. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think, yeah, now it's been there on the screen. So this is the committee branch members. Myself, Tibu chair, Mr. Rich chair is our vice chair, and we have Leo, who is our brand ambassador, and we have technical advisors who are helping us throughout for our meeting. It's Mr. Deep Turner, Mr. Santosh Kumar Pillai, and Mr. Pralay Kumar Das, and our Emmanuel, who is our CPD and training coordinator. So this is our committee members who's helping us widely. Coming month, I hopefully will be having a secretary who will be helping us to grow more on our committee over here in Qatar branch. So the members who are here in Qatar, please you can note down our mail IDs and phone numbers. If you have anything which is related to IIRSM Qatar branch, if you want to discuss, feel free, you can message us, and we have a IIRSM Qatar branch WhatsApp group. We are there active in LinkedIn page as well, where IIRSM Qatar branch page is there. So if you have any queries, please feel free to contact us. We are there to help you guys. So I'd like to welcome now Mr. Mohammed Aswad Sharif. He is approved food safety trainer, auditor. I know him from past 7-8 years. So hello, he will be delivering the section. So I'll be handling the session to him.
Hi everyone. How are you? I hope everyone is fine, safe. So today we will be starting the topic of food safety. Of course, everyone knows about the safety. Most probably, the group is mostly health and safety. Today, particularly as Mr. Deep was requesting to give a session for food safety. First, we need, everyone knows what is food, because everyone needs. But about the safety, where we have some misunderstanding or we're not much aware of the food safety. So we will just explain a quick definition about the food safety. What is food safety? Just to brief you, you can see on the screen, it is coming to you. Take some time. Okay.
So maybe it will help us.
Yes.
Sorry guys, I'll be stopping the video section. We'll be sharing only the screen. I believe there is a delay in sharing my screen. So hope, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay. So food safety as a definition is nothing but a measure to control the hazards and to protect consumers' health and ensure safeguard food from harm. Okay. Another thing, what is in your concept, what do you think safety for the food hazards? What are the related hazards we can see? Yes, very good. Microbiological organisms, very good. What else do we think? Like a small piece of glass in the food, it is a physical hazard. And there are another two, which is a chemical hazard, because we use in the food industry, we use chemicals Sometimes we use chemicals on ourselves, like using perfumes, creams, lotions, and everything, and allergenic. It's not a hazard, but it is also considered as one of the hazard in it. In detail, we will go once we go to other slides. Hazard is nothing but definition is something with a potential to cause harm. As you know, bacteria. Where we can find the bacteria? Bacteria are everywhere, but not all the bacteria are harmful. So, which are the bacteria harmful to the humans? The bacteria, which is called as pathogens. Pathogens are the term which we give to the bacteria which has a potential to cause harm. Then, what is a contamination? Mostly the similarity between hazard and contamination is interlinked. So once we go to the different more slides, we will be more understanding more. Contamination is nothing but the presence or introduction of hazard in the food. It can be deliberately, it can be accidentally, or during the process itself. Next slide. Okay, this one, just for a quick understanding. What do you think are the most common hygiene faults that results in food poisoning? Some of the common, generally happening mostly in the food industry, especially in the hotels and where the food is more complex and they are making different types of foods. What they do, when you order some food, they have everything present for you. How it is possible, because they prepare the food too far in advance and they will be storing in the refrigerators in the safer condition. But what will happen if the food is not stored at a proper safe temperature? Especially like, they prepare the food, they're storing at the room temperature. What will happen? The bacteria starts to multiply. And once the bacteria are strong enough, they can cause a healthy person food poisoning and cause him sick. The common mistakes used related to hygiene faults happens is preparing the food too far in advance and storing at the room temperature. Room temperature is a temperature which is for the food is not like the temperature, ambient temperature for humans. For the food, the room temperature is a temperature about 5 degrees till 63 degrees. The range from 5 to 63 is a room temperature for them. At this temperature, bacteria multiplies. What is the safe temperature? Below 5 and above 63, where the bacteria will not multiply. Then, cooling the food slowly. If you cool the food slowly, the more time the bacteria stays in the danger zone or the room temperature for the bacteria from 5 to 63, the bacteria starts to multiply. Every 10 minutes, each bacteria splits into two and multiplies. Next, the third factor commonly is not reheating the food. What is reheating? Once the food is prepared and it is left over and we take it for the consumption, we reheat it. When you reheat, you should make sure that it is reheat thoroughly, about 75 degrees for 5 minutes or 82 degrees Celsius above. There are some temperature ranges which is very particular, more stringent, and it is scientifically proved for it. And cooking, not cooking properly. Half cooked, some parts of the chicken or some parts of the food, especially the poultry and meat products, are not thoroughly cooked. It can also cause food poisoning. And contaminating the food through cross contamination from raw food to the food or by our contaminated hands. Another factor will be not defrosting or thawing completely. Mostly here in Middle East, the products all are flown inside. Everything is imported. Now recently they started to have to make it farming and all these things. While they're bringing, it is brought in frozen state. In the preparation, they have to defrost properly to the chill temperature, then they can prepare. What will happen if the food is frozen and when they cook? What happened? The outer surface of the product is already cooked, but inside that core temperature is still not reaching above 65 or 75 degrees Celsius. That can trigger food poisoning, but some bacteria have not been killed for it. Next is the food handlers, who is already been infected with some diseases, transmittable diseases. The common symptoms, common diseases like common and transmittable diseases is tuberculosis, mostly smoking habits and all these things, and having a bad personal hygiene. Handling the poor personal hygiene and handling the raw food, not sanitizing their hands before touching the ready to eat food, it can transmit the bacteria from the raw to the cooked food or ready to food. The food handler's responsibility is to report immediately to their supervisors or managers any food safety faults they identify. Why we can't why can't we do our actions instead of informing to the supervisors? The purpose of this is you take the action, it's good, but in order to not reoccurrence, we need to inform to the supervisors so that they will they'll identify the root cause and make sure this is not reoccurring. Some of the most of the things like food safety, it's not 100% achieved because of one small mistake or negligence, and not bringing this notice to the supervisors. So anything related to food safety, please make sure you take 100% precautionary measures and inform any hazards or any risk to the food to the supervisors so that it will not reoccur. Now, as I said to you, microbiological hazards, as I said to you, the danger zone, the room temperature for the food. I can say that danger zone is the temperature within which the food poisoning bacteria multiplies. Just for your understanding about the bacteria, I'll just give you one more few ideas. Do you know how much numbers of bacteria or pathogens we need to cause a healthy person food poisoning or getting sick? 1, 2, a lot, yeah, a lot. I can just give approximately range about 10,000 pathogens, 10,000 to 20,000 pathogens. This 10,000 to 20,000 pathogens are easily found in our hand because it's multiplied from our body. But these pathogens will not harm to the own person because this pathogens is for their own, they are friendly to them. But my pathogens or the persons who preparing the food, his bacteria are not friendly to others. So this will cause them food poisoning. What is a pathogen? Is a disease causing microorganisms. We cannot see the bacteria, sometimes they call as germs. And what is toxin? The toxin is nothing but a chemical which is poisonous. So the question is where these toxins come in the food, how it comes. The thing is the bacteria when they multiply, they excrete toxins, and when you cook them or heat them, the pathogens are killed and they releases the toxin. The toxin is nothing but a poison which is commonly causing food poisoning also. So make sure the very important thing to prevent this toxin is from the farm till the service, the temperature is properly maintained and thoroughly cooked, then the toxin level will be reduced. As one word we said bacteria. Do you know not all the bacteria are harmful? There are very little number of bacteria which will cause food poisoning. That type of bacteria we call them as pathogens. As an average, like 4 to 5% of pathogens only has pathogens are there in the bacteria. What are others? Balance 95% or range of them? They are some bacteria are comes classified into spoilage bacteria, which makes the food unfit for consumption. Some are essential and some are helpful. Some of the helpful or useful examples are like yogurt, cheese, any fermented products. Example like yeast. Yeast is beneficial for us. So in 100 percentage, 4 to 5 percentage are the bacteria which has a potential to cause harm. That term of bacteria we call them as pathogens. The common mistake, mostly the food poisoning cases happen with first is poor personal hygiene. It's persons transmitting the pathogens from their body to the others. So always my golden rule is always handle ready to eat food. It may be whatever it is, even it is a slice of toast or a piece of garnish or lemon, whatever it is. Make sure you are using gloves. If not visible, use tongs, spoons or forks to prevent transmission of your pathogens to the other person. Okay? And as you see that some bacteria can double in numbers in every 10 minutes. Imagine if there is already 1,000 pathogens in the food, it doesn't cause food poisoning because we have a defense system, immune system which can fight with that. Every 10 minutes, this 1,000 become how much? Every 10 minutes, 2,000. So another 10 minutes, 4,000. It is not multiply, it is square roots. It splits into two. As an average, they can in almost like 1 hour, it can be very strong enough to cause a healthy person sick. For this bacteria, you cannot see by our naked eyes. Of course, we need microscope to see them. And what do the bacteria needs to multiply? I don't want these 1,000 bacteria to multiply. I just wanted this 1,000 to be 1,000 or to kill them. But at present, I don't want this bacteria to multiply. What I have to do? First, we need to understand what are the requirements or the needs, how the bacteria to survive. What are the things the bacteria needs to survive? They need moisture. They need warmth, that is temperature. They need food, not normal food, any food which is has a protein base. Okay, it can be any food, and the time. So moisture is nothing but available water in the food. Of course, there is water in the food. If you want to store the food for longer, you have to modify any of this. For example, there is a moisture in the milk. I want to store it for long. I dehydrate it, make it into powder. So I can store it for long. The bacteria will not multiply. Same applies to all the food if you can. And next is warmer temperature. Make sure you want to store the longer time. Store it in the freezers below 5. If you want to extend for more than 1 day or 2 day or 3 day or a month, you have to keep it below -18 degrees Celsius. And protein. Can I remove the protein from the food? No, we cannot. Because if the food is made up of the protein, we cannot. Time. What is time? Every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, if I keep the food at the danger zone, that is from 5 degrees Celsius to between the 5 degrees Celsius to 63 degrees Celsius, this bacteria will multiply. So what I have to do? In this food, what controls we have? Can I remove the moisture from the food? Not necessarily all the food we cannot remove. Okay, temperature. Do I have control on temperature? Yes, everyone has a control on temperature. If I want to keep the food served chilled, I make sure it is below 5. If I want to give the food which is hot served, make sure the food is kept in the hot cabinets and served about 63 degrees Celsius. In Qatar, the standards are a little stringent. The temperature for the hot holding is about 65. International standard is 63. In Qatar, it is 65. And the cold temperature is below 4. They have reduced to 1 degree Celsius. So from 4 to 65 is considered as danger zone. Okay. How can I kill the bacteria? Very simple. Thorough cooking. What is the meaning of why can't I say directly high temperature and I can kill them? Because thorough cooking means not always all the food can be used at high temperature. Some of the foods are very sensitive, we cannot apply high temperature. So We can apply the temperature even it is a low temperature, but for longer time. For instance, as I said to you, 75 degrees for initial cooking. You can just keep it for 15 seconds. Normal cooking. I cannot cook the food for 75 degrees Celsius. So, okay, what temperature you will cook? Okay, I'm cooking the temperature for 70 degrees. So, extend the time. If you're cooking for 70 degrees Celsius, the time should be 5 minutes at the same temperature. No, I cannot cook for 70, I need only 60. So, every 5 degrees Celsius, the time increases. So, you have to balance the time and temperature. Higher the temperature, shorter the time. Lower the temperature, longer the time. So that's important. So we have control on temperature and time. This is the temperature and time is only to control the multiplication. To kill them, I need thorough cooking, high temperature, or commonly available salt, sugar, and acids, and some chemicals like chlorine. Some chlorine tablets we use it for sanitizing of vegetables and fruits, and even they use to kill the bacteria in the water tanks, which is used for cooking or used for washing the vegetables, utensils, and all these things. A simple understanding for this, what is danger zone? You can see in your screen, it will come up here. This is nothing but a germometer. I hope you have come across this. Just to refresh it, it's easy for you to understand visually. This is like a thermometer. What will happen at the temperature of minus 18 degrees Celsius? The bacteria don't multiply and they do not be killed. They just only dormant, that is, they sleep. They have no reaction with it. If there is 1,000 pathogens, they will be 1,000 as long as at the temperature. Once it is reaching to 0 degrees Celsius, still it is safe though. The bacteria starts to wake up, but they will not multiply. At what temperature the bacteria multiplies? The only job or job description I can say for the pathogens is to multiply, nothing else. What they do? They multiply at the temperature from 5 to 63 degrees Celsius. This zone is called as, the temperature range is called as danger zone. Never keep any food at this temperature. Then your question will be, what about my toast bread? What about my cookies? What about my sugar? This temperature is only for the high risk food. A high risk food is a food which is ready to eat and we need refrigeration. It's called as high risk food. Any food comes under this classification or high risk food, please make sure you store below 5 degrees and above 63 degrees Celsius to prevent multiplication of the bacteria. Okay. Among this danger, in this danger zone, 37 degrees is nothing but our blood temperature or body temperature where the bacteria multiplies very rapidly. Not every 10 minutes, it can multiply in every 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, depending upon the type of pathogens. Now, what happens to the bacteria above 63 degrees Celsius? Yeah, right? They will not be killed. They stop multiplying. Then the question should be, at what temperature the bacteria starts to be killed? About 75 degrees Celsius. The best thing is to make sure you reach whatever the food, reach about 75 degrees Celsius for a long time, take the temperature of the core temperature of the product. If the temperature is above 75 degrees for 15 seconds, it is safe, or make it for 100 degrees Celsius where all the pathogens are killed. We'll move to the another slide. As we said that we have 4 types of contamination hazards. As we discussed about the microbiological, that is bacteria, mostly pathogenic bacteria. In this, we have pathogenic bacteria which has a potential to cause food poisoning. What about the physical hazard which we discussed in the starting? Physical hazard is nothing but a foreign object which enters in the food of any stage of your food processing. It can result in injury. Okay, my question is, what happens if a small piece of hair is in your food? Does it cause you injury? No. If there is a small string of plastic in it, does it cause injury? It might be, but if there is a small piece of glass, surely it will cause injury to you. So the physical is nothing but anything which is foreign object of that food is called as physical hazard. Chemical hazard. What is chemical hazard? When a food is contaminated by contact with the chemical substances. Chemical contamination can be neutral or artificial. Results in poisoning. It can you please give me how the chemicals can contaminate the food? Common chemicals which is used in the food industry or kitchen, like dishwashing chemical, cleaning chemicals. Then sometimes we use some excessive chemicals, for example, like sanitizing chlorine tablets. If you use the chlorine tablets for sanitizing of fruits and vegetables, it's good, but if you don't rinse it, the chances traces of chlorine can enter in your body and can cause chemical contamination. And allergenic, this is one of the hazards which can cause a person sick. It's not a food poisoning, it's nothing but a person's immune system, individual person's immune system reacts, causing anaphylactic shock. Anaphylactic shock is caused by a type of protein found in food. It can be any food. I have connected some, interacted with some of the groups where we used to discuss types of allergens, what are the allergens they have faced. Among that, one of the candidate, he said that he has an allergy with strawberry. Wow, it was something new. Then, to know more about that person, I was shocked to know that it's not after consuming the strawberry. While seeing the strawberry itself, you get allergy. By seeing, it's nothing but your brain sends a signal saying that this food is harm. So the food can not now I came to know that it's not all the food when you consume only that. It depends upon the person's thought, mind, and their hormones. Even a small trace of that protein or the food particle can trigger anaphylactic shock, resulting. What are the symptoms? Cause normal symptoms for the food allergens? Yeah, rashes, swelling, difficulty in breathing, vomiting, nausea, and collapse. It can cause within seconds. It will not take more time. But for the food poisoning, it takes incubation period of minimum 1 hour to 36 hours to appear the symptoms. But for allergen, it can come in minutes. And for that person, we need to take them to a medical attention. Otherwise, this will lead up to more complex. Okay, we know the first we have contamination hazards. What do you have an idea of cross contamination? As I said to you, mostly the pathogens are transmitted from the raw to ready to eat food through cross contamination. How it is possible? Sometimes while preparation, they are not much caring about your food. Sometimes they keep the raw and ready to eat food together, causing direct contamination, which transmit the pathogens from the raw and directly stick onto the cooked food. Another thing is indirect contacts. Indirect contacts, it can be a cutting board, it can be a working table, or it can be a knife. I use the knife for cutting the raw food. I just used water to wash, to rinse. Then I use the same knife and cutting board to cut the ready to eat food. What will happen? Water will not kill the pathogens. To kill the pathogens, I need high temperature or chemical. I need to do both. So these pathogens are sticking on my knife or cutting board and transmit to the ready-to-eat food. So the person who is consuming the food which is prepared with the contaminated cutting board and knife will cause food poisoning for sure. So indirect contamination is commonly happening. It's, I can say, 80% of contamination through indirect is common in food industry. Next is dripping. This is in your home also. Sometimes we arrange our chillers, everything stacked together. Sometimes we keep the eggs on top with its own packing. Sometimes we keep raw poultry on top and we have cooked food down. This and the raw products, anything if it drips to the cooked food can cause also contamination. That is drip, direct contaminating to the food. Now, we know already the cross contamination. Now the question is, how can I control? How can I control or prevent the cross contamination? So let's see this next slide. Yes. The first thing is training. Always any food handler who is handling the food, he should always, before starting doing anything, he should go under intense training during the induction period itself. The training and supervision of food handlers is very key important role or key point where we give knowledge to the food handler that what are the things he has to follow before handling the food. Next is hand washing between the raw and cooked food. Always wash your hands in between each task. For me, it's better in each task. Not only water, using the water, using chemicals which has a property to kill the pathogens. Then make sure that you have a separate raw and ready-to-eat food preparation cutting boards. Example, we can use cutting boards, chopping boards, knife, different colors. General commonly colors used in food industry is red for raw meat, green for raw fruits and vegetables, yellow for raw poultry, and blue for raw seafood. Then brown they use it for processed food. Any food which you already processed, they use it. And what about the dairy products and the bread? You can use white cutting boards with same color, matching color of knives to prevent cross contamination. And using the disposable paper cloths instead of using normal cloths, because if you use the cloth for one area to be cleaned, you have to make sure that it is already properly disinfected or just washed. It's hardly we can kill the pathogens in the cloth, reusable cloths. It's best advice is to use tissue or use and throw cloths. Cleaning and disinfection. Cleaning removes the dirt and grease, and disinfection will kill the pathogens. And make sure they use separate equipments. Even it applies for the packing vacuum machines, your slicer machines, all together. If you have only one slicing machine, what I can do? Use the slicing machine first for the ready-to-eat food. Use it, then you can use it for raw food. If I use raw first, then I use ready to eat, chances of contamination, even I do cleaning and sanitation, chances are there. It's safer that you use first for ready to eat, then you can later use for raw food. And always use the hand wash basins to wash your hands only, not your food products or equipments, because some of the water spillage can bounce back to the food or the equipment, because hand washing sinks is removing the pathogens from your hands. That is one of the things which should be considered and kept out of the away from the food preparation. What do you think? What are the common food poisoning symptoms? What are the symptoms? Did anyone had a food poisoning symptoms? Yes. What were the symptoms? Stomach cramp. Yes. Vomiting. Cry. It's serious. Okay. The thing is, you will have abdominal pain, diarrhea, fever, nausea, vomiting, and malaise. So these are the common symptoms. It can sometimes the pathogenic bacteria are so strong it will help send a person to the hospital also. If a pathogen, bacteria, for example, if you have a symptoms of food poisoning for more than 7 days, you have to go to the any symptoms, for example, diarrhea. It didn't stop for more than 7 days. You have to visit to the hospital. It can be severe. It's better to go and approach doctors in the first day itself so that you can be recovered. Otherwise, it will be take some long time to recover. That's all for me. If you have any doubts related to this, you can feel free.
Trying to eat anything now. Really bad. One question.
Yeah, please.
In Qatar, there are a lot of workers that are habitual site occupancy, so they don't have the luxury of having their food stored in nice refrigeration, etc. What's some of the problems, from your understanding, of, and I don't know about the time delivery from where the food is prepared, then it's delivered to the site, and then it's kept in
Room temperature.
refrigerators outside under 40 degrees.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and this is very helpful. I think this our audience also will be very getting benefit from this. First things, as I said to you, we need large numbers of pathogens to cause a person sick. Average 10,000 to 20,000 depending upon your body. But there is some group called as vulnerable group. For them, less than 1,000 or less than 5,000 can cause food poisoning, like elderly people's, pregnant women, newly born babies, because their immune system is weak. So any bacteria which food pathogens comes into them, the immune system cannot balance there to fight them. So they get more sick. The same concept goes for, as you said, the laborers, constructors, and all these things. You need to understand the work nature. Their work nature is totally intense, and they are hard workers. So the food what especially here still they are healthy and all these things because their body intensity is so strong and immune system is so strong they can even fight 50,000 pathogens. 50,000. They take the food. I have witnessed it. I have went to the camps. I have already referred them. I did the consultation that time. I came to know they prepare the food in the morning and they carry the food for the lunch with them. At so scoring hard, they don't have refrigerators. The bacteria multiply so fast in it, but still they are healthy because of their working nature, their immune system. If, for example, you see the sports persons, they have, they don't have, they work out and directly consume their food with their bare hands, still they are healthy. The time when they change their regular activities from intense exercise or intense work to normal, regular, like resting phase, the same food if they consume, they get food poisoning. So this is the very important thing. If you're an active person, immune system is strong. You are, for example, you're an office person. You are sitting in the office and your mind is occupied, not your body. Body is in the rest. So for you, my friend, you need to have a food which is small portion and which is very safe. That's the best.
Okay. You mentioned competency requirements
Yes.
for considering the food hygiene risks that are on the side. Anybody that handles food, is it one training or are they required to have special training to keep up their knowledge, or is it custom training, they're on the job training?
Mostly, especially here in Qatar, we have a food safety inspections, the ministry that is called as Qaladia. Here they are very stringent and very much giving focus on the safety of the food and the safety for the public. So they have said all the companies who's preparing food, they should have basic knowledge of food. The basic knowledge is like what is contamination, how to wash your hands, what is personal hygiene, how to store the food. This is the four things which is compulsory they should know. So in small catering companies and products, when I go for the star hotels or some good brand chains, it's mandatory to have level 2 food safety. Level 2 food safety. It's like, it's a requirement for all the food handlers should have a training, basic knowledge. There are 4 levels in different companies. This training is mandatory for them. Once they have that during induction, every year they need to refresh it. Every year they have to refresh it internally. It's not that you have to get a certificate. So it's internally you have to refresh it. And in that way, and supervision and monitoring is very, very important. Leaders or the supervisors are very, very key, plays a key role in maintaining the food safety culture. That is lead by example.
Last question.
Yep, please.
As a consumer of food, how do I know if I'm going to a restaurant that I eat something that's good or not? You can spice up the cues, give me a couple of shots of whiskey, I will be wrong.
Yes.
I can tell find signs that would
Yeah.
some sort
It's my here, especially in Qatar, any establishment who prepare the food, it's very much monitored by Baladia. By Baladia, inspections, ministries.
five companies closed down.
Yes. Some of the companies have been inspected, and when they find some violation is there, they shut them down till there completely, and the penalties are very, very high. And some of the very serious cases, they take the owners to jail. So here, if you, for example, as you, for your experience, if you want to try something new restaurants, my suggestion is avoid trying outside. Sorry, trying outside new. If you want to see the reputation of them, and you can always watch the Baladia website where they say which restaurants are being shut down. And you try one time, you can see the freshness or the hygiene of the employees, and once you consume, your body will tell next time whether to visit there or not.
Why is the company shut down?
Yeah.
Okay. My mum always told me if you want to go to a good meal, you want good food, see how clean the toilets are. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
For me, I can say visit the chillers.
Yeah,
Okay, but they will not allow you.
a lot of transparent restaurants have openings that you can see.
You can see how they prepare. You cannot see how they store it back up.
My daughter is in Canada. I know that you mentioned food, but if somebody was to kiss her on the cheek,
It
with
can.
lipstick,
That also
she
is
would come up in a well.
the chemicals present in the water.
So when she came over here, she had to speak to the chef manager because of cross contamination. We're not allowed to use
Yes.
food that is in the pot. And one of the problems is if you aren't anaphylactic, because my wife spent hours going to the supermarket looking at the
Ingredients.
Now, some restaurants can't hold that, they just expect
Yeah.
may contain nuts,
May contain yes.
may contain dairy products.
It just want to save themselves from many things. For me, a person who is having allergen, it's very sad, and there are some of the hotels or some food industries, they will not take the responsibility for this. Some of the good restaurants and hotels are there where they take it very seriously. They have a separate color cutting boards and nice, it's purple color for allergens. They have particularly for that. They make sure.
What about, sorry to hijack this meeting, so
No, it's good. No more questions.
Well, I know that we can go on to these ways. If we eat something that is causing pain and discomfort in our does vomiting help?
Actually, my recommendation is you don't induce vomiting. Please, never induce anything for vomiting, even for the poisons taken please don't abuse it because it can reach to another parts of your body. Yeah. The best thing is if you have something cramps or something, try to deal with some remedy or flush your body with water and salt, otherwise salt water, or please visit to the hospitals depending upon what food you have consumed and how much quantity you have consumed. Because if you have consumed a large quantity of food, it will be difficult for your body to cope up with it. If it is a small portion and you had suspecting that food poisoning, it can be cured in few hours or a day. The best thing is make sure you eat home food.
Yeah,
Same.
I've had the hospital ambulance 3 times since I've been here, on a trip,
Oh,
because I've been with medication, etc. Because I've eaten, to be honest, I've eaten a lot of food, my salad, and then they said the combination of and all of their body.
no, the best thing is, my recommendation is always for everyone, when you're not sure, please don't consume them. That's it. When you're not sure, don't consume them. When you control your tongue, your tummy is safe. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Any questions from? Yeah, here.
Thank you, sir. Nice presentation. I believe, is there any questions from the attendees?
There isn't any questions yet, no.
Yeah, all right.
They're all eating. They're eating their cleaning their plates and like forks.
So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for attending the section. So we will be having our next section on 25th January. So we will be seeing soon next year. So this is our last section on this year.
For this year,
Yeah. So we will be seeing next year.
next year we're going to fill these seats.
So I encourage the members has to come forward for the face-to-face session because I believe at least we can have 10-15 members. As per the local rule now, we can have maximum of 30 fully vaccinated members who can have in-house meetings and all. So we can have at least 15 members. I am getting a lot of registrations, but I have no idea. At the last moment, most of them are not ready to attend the face-to-face sessions due to the traffic and due to the work pressure. I understand that.
Do with them more comfortable sit watching.
Yeah, yeah, we know that. Even we sometimes we are more comfortable on our tables and chairs instead of traveling from one place to another place. At least you have been there online. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for attending this section. And please follow us on LinkedIn page and Facebook page. Mostly in Facebook, we are not updating most of the things, but from next year onwards, once we have the secretary, we will be updating all the meeting details on Facebook as well. But now currently we are updating all the meeting details in IIRSM Qatar branch page. So this is my number, as I have mentioned over here. So if you want to be part of our Qatar IIRSM branch group and if you are a member in Qatar, so please do message us with your membership ID and mail ID. I'll be happy to add you on the group. And we have a lot of members in the group who are knowledgeable, who have a lot of ideas. So we welcome you all to come for face-to-face session and deliver some speech. Right? We are looking forward with our members to come forward to deliver the speeches. So that's it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. The members who have been here for face-to-face session, we have the refreshment which is available. For online section, we don't have virtual refreshments. Refreshments is available to you can have on that. And yeah, happy Christmas and happy New Year. See you all in next year for next meeting. And thanks a lot. And thank you, Dina, for helping us to arrange this section on GoToWebinar.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Dipu. Thank you, Mohammed. Brilliant session. And I will catch up with you and the rest of the members in the new year.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Dina.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.